with, yeah, a chair, a stool, sitting on the end of a couch or your bed. Just make sure if you are seated that you can have your feet kind of flat on the floor. And if you don't want to kind of sit on a chair or anything, you can sit on the floor, or you can also start the meditation lying. That's absolutely fine. But then we'll come up to a seated shape for the first movement, which is shoulder shrugs. So yeah, this class I've kind of designed around sitting at a desk all day, kind of working from home. So lots of movements for the shoulders, and then that rotation of the rib cage as well, which we'll do a bit later. So just finding your shape you'd like to start in. And yeah, just destigmatizing the chair in yoga. So if you want to come and sit on a chair, then feeling free to do that. And so we'll just start with a little grounding meditation before we take our first movements. So finding your comfortable shape, whether that's seated on the floor, lying down, seated on a chair. If you're on a chair, just have your feet flat down on the floor. And if you have just joined, welcome everyone. I can't see everyone's names from here, but just make sure you're on, just make sure your microphone's muted as well, just so it doesn't interfere with other people's sound. And welcome yourself to the space this morning. If you arrived a few minutes late, that's all good. Very welcome to be here. Thank you for joining. And just begin to settle where you are, feeling where your body meets the earth. Maybe just your feet, maybe your legs, maybe your back body. And just taking some conscious breaths here. As you inhale, feeling that energy moving down to the earth. And then exhale, coming up towards the sky, feeling that balance between earth and sky here. Grounding, feeling into the earth energy. And then suspending upwards, feeling into the air, the space above, around you. And just letting yourself be for a few moments. Sometimes in the morning we get up, we rush around, start our day. And don't take those moments just to pause and notice how you feel this morning. So you can ask yourself the question, how am I today? How have you arrived into the day? And maybe that's some physical sensations which are arising for you, maybe a few kind of niggles or aches. Maybe you're feeling great in your body this morning. Maybe it's your energetic body. How's your energy this morning? Maybe you woke up feeling quite energized, ready for the day, or maybe a little bit slower, feeling. Maybe it's the mental body. Have you got kind of those racing thoughts this morning, lots on your mind, maybe your to-do list, or is your mind kind of more calm? Welcome everyone who's joining. Just make sure your microphone's on mute, just so that there isn't that feedback for everyone else in the class. And then also, if it resonates with you, you can feel into that spiritual, that soul body, and just noticing how you are, how connected you feel in the present. And maybe there's one part of you which kind of resonates more, is more prominent this morning, and letting that be as it is, and just noticing that. Maybe it's your energy levels, maybe it's the physical body, the mind, and also the emotional body. How are your emotions this morning? Is there a sense of joy in your day, love, compassion, or maybe some different emotions, and just letting them be as they are? No need to judge whatever's coming up. And you sit with whatever's there, welcome it in and let it be. And then come back to your breath and just take another 5 or so breaths here. Letting your breath anchor you into the present, guide you here. And let's start with our somatic shoulder shrugs. So I love these movements. They're so great for the shoulders, the neck, just the upper body in general. So if you are lying down, just coming to a comfortable seat. And again, feeling absolutely free to take that seat on a chair, edge of a sofa or a bed. Just making sure if you are using a chair or a prop, just having your feet flat on the floor, or you're welcome to sit down on the floor as well with a bolster or a cushion in your normal kind of seated shape. And so just arriving to where you are. And so I wanted to start with this because lots of people have been, or a few people have been kind of asking me about what to do about tight shoulders, or they're feeling kind of pain in their upper bodies, probably mainly from working from home or just being at home a bit more. And, you know, I've seen lots of videos and things online to help with this in terms of stretching and kind of putting ourselves into different shapes to help relieve that. And I think there's definitely a place for that sometimes, and it probably can help relieve a little bit. But I do find that somatic movement is an alternative to stretching, and it gives that kind of longer term relief. And sometimes stretching can actually, because we're pulling a muscle, pulling away, it can sometimes actually create more tension, and we get that kind of stretch reflex, so the muscle kind of tightens more after a while, and can actually aggravate some of the nerves that stream down from the neck, down the arms and the shoulders. So this is just an alternative for that. So we'll start on one side. So whatever side you want to take first, just let your nervous system organize that. So I'm going to start with my right and just let that arm kind of come down to the side. And then take a few circles of that arm first, and just notice with these circles how that feels. And just let kind of the circles come from that shoulder and that sliding glide of the shoulder blades. So not kind of moving back to assist more. The aim isn't to get as much mobility in the shoulder. We're just noticing how this feels to circle, and you might kind of cut the corner and come down to the side. Just take that a few times and then come back and let the arm kind of hang. And so just remembering with our somatic movement, moving slow with awareness and noticing the sensations with the movement. So it's not about getting as far as you can. It's not about moving quickly, not about getting into a certain shape. It's about noticing what's going on, and the movement might be really, really, really small. So the first movement is shrugging the shoulder up towards the air. So bringing that shoulder up towards the air, noticing those muscles at the top of the shoulder tightening, and then slow motion release back down. And as you slow motion release, just noticing those muscles releasing. And we'll take that a couple more times, shrugging the shoulder up to the air. Notice those muscles tightening around the top of the shoulder. Slow motion release back down. You might even notice the first few times you do this, that release down. The kind of muscles already start to release a little bit more, and maybe not, just letting it be. Really slow motion release. And then take that one more time and hold at the top. And again, as you're holding here, notice those muscles at the top of the shoulder tightening. Just taking 1 or 2 breath cycles here. And then really slow motion release down. And seeing how smooth you can make that movement as you come down, and then letting the arm rest. Cool, and then we'll take the opposite hand and just pat underneath that armpit. And we're just waking up the muscles underneath the armpit. So serratus anterior, which helps to bring the shoulder blade down. So we're just waking up these muscles. This can be sometimes the hardest movement I find for people. And then letting the arm come down. So we've woken up those muscles now. And then so we're going to take the opposite movement. So bringing the shoulder blade down, seeing if you can tighten those muscles underneath the armpit to allow that release down. And then releasing back out. And again, this might be quite a hard kind of movement or sensation to feel, these muscles tightening. And one thing I have found is that if you maybe even if you'd like to place your hand underneath the armpit and then kind of squeeze the hand between the arm and the armpit, and that might help you kind of feel into the tightening of those muscles underneath the armpit. And so it's the tightening of these muscles that bring the shoulder down and then breathe it back to rest. And again, this might be the smallest movement you make, just a centimeter movement, an inch of the shoulder down. Take that one more time and then hold here. And again, see how much you can feel these muscles tightening. And you might literally feel the tiniest sensation, or maybe it's really hard and you haven't felt anything at all today, and that's absolutely fine. We're just trying to bring more awareness to these muscle movements. Holding and then slow motion release back to center. Let's take those two movements together now. So shrugging the shoulder up, noticing those muscles at the top of the shoulder tightening, and then bringing the shoulder down. Noticing as it comes through that center point, and then bringing the shoulder down, tightening those muscles underneath the armpit. Bringing the shoulder up, just take that maybe 3 times. Bringing it down. And then last time, just taking this in your own time, in your own way, not needing to follow me. And then the last time you come down, that 3rd time, just come back to rest, come back to center. And then just take a few resting breaths here, notice what you notice. And then we're going to take the movement of the shoulder forward and back now. So thinking about these pec muscles, so you can even give a little tap on the front of the chest, these pec muscles, which are part of the shoulder, the front of the shoulder. So this is what we want to be tightening here. So in your own time, bringing the shoulder forward, tightening these pec muscles. You can even bring a hand and notice the tightening on pec muscles, and then slow motion release from here, from those pec muscles, back to center, back to that resting shape. Take that again, bring the shoulder forward, tightening his muscles. I might just come to the side so you can see this movement a bit better. And then bringing the shoulder back. And just notice with this movement, are you bringing the shoulder up and then forward? Can you keep that shoulder in a straight line and bring it straight forward? And if you are bringing it up and forward, that can sometimes just be a little compensation of your brain kind of not having connection to these muscles, a bit of our motor sensory amnesia, as we call it in somatic movement. That's absolutely completely normal and fine. Just seeing if you can change the movement slightly. So you're just bringing forward that shoulder in a straight line. And then the last time you bring it forward, let's hold here. Bring those hands to the pec muscle, maybe have a little tap. Just feel that those muscles are tight at the front of the body. And then slow motion release from the front of the body, bringing that shoulder back to center. And then we'll take that the opposite way now. So bringing awareness to that space between the spine and the shoulder blade. You can even bring your hand, if it's comfortable for you to do so and it's accessible for you, you can bring your hands to the back of the body and feel where that shoulder blade is and where kind of that space is between the spine and the shoulder blade. So this is the muscles we're going to be tightening to bring the shoulder blade back. So we're going to bring the shoulder blade back, hugging that shoulder blade in towards the spine, noticing those muscles at the back of the body tightening, and then slow motion release back to center. And again, take that a few times. And same thing here, are you bringing the shoulder up and back? And can you see how much you can keep the movement of the shoulder on that kind of straight line? So imagining a kind of ruler across the shoulder. Can you keep that shoulder moving in that kind of straight trajectory? Take that a few times, and then let's make this the last time, holding the shoulder back. And if it's accessible, you can even bring the fingertips to the back body. Notice those kind of muscles in the back of the body tightening, keeping that shoulder blade hugging into the spine, the rib cage. And then slow motion release from there. And then let's take those two movements together now, like we did on the other side. So bringing the shoulder blade forward and then letting it slide back. And as you take these movements, noticing front of the body tightening, pec muscles tightening, back of the body tightening. You can even bring the fingertips to those muscles, feel them tightening, and then slow motion release. And just take that 3 times. So maybe make this your last movement. And then come back to center and let the arm just be. Cool, and then we're going to take some circles with the shoulder blade, or the shoulder, so using all these different movements we've just taken. And I forgot to say as well that the hand can be resting on the knee for some of these movements as well, if kind of having it down is uncomfortable. So imagining that you have a pencil coming out from the side of your shoulder and you want to create little circles with that pencil on the side of the wall or wherever you are. So taking this movement, whatever way, maybe you come back or maybe you come forward first. So you're taking that movement back or forward and then up and then down, and seeing how much sensation you can create with those tightening and releasing of the muscles. And just notice as well, even I'm feeling it in my own body, it's the other shoulder kind of trying to get involved, trying to help. And if it is, just send a little message to that shoulder. It's okay, you don't need to be involved here. This isn't to do with you. Again, that's just a little compensation that the body is trying to make. If you don't have some of the movement pathways, mind, shoulders doing it, we all have these kind of little things in the body. And then reverse, start creating that circle on the other side or around the other way. And again, you might notice that your circle is more of an oval shape, or maybe there's a little kind of part that you've cut out. And again, it's just noticing, seeing if you can create a nice circle there. How much of a circular shape can you make? And just letting it be if there's any kind of places that you can't quite get to. Oh, and then just let the shoulder rest down. And then take a few circles with the arm again and just notice, has anything changed? How is the arm feeling? Is there any difference? Maybe there is, maybe there isn't. And then just let the arm be. And you can even go to a mirror here or just have a kind of feel, maybe one shoulder kind of feels or looks different. Sometimes you find that the shoulder's kind of lower down than the other side. You might even see that the face is more relaxed on that side. And just feeling if there's any kind of differences between each side as well, noticing those sensations. This is a really important part of our somatic movement, is that difference between each side. So giving that brain the awareness of what's going on in the body and noticing that there's a change. Cool, and then let's take that on the other side now. So the other arm can kind of the arm you've just been using can rest down on the knee or somewhere else. And then let's start with the shoulder shrug movement. So taking the opposite arm up towards the ear, noticing the top of the shoulder tightening, and then bringing it down. And just take that 3 or 4 times in your own way. Just noticing those muscles tightening and then releasing. Cool, and then make this the last one. And then when you bring the shoulder up this final time, just hold there, notice those muscles which are tightening. Notice the sensations. Is the other shoulder trying to get involved, like mine a little bit? And then slow motion release down. And then taking the opposite hand and having a little tap again under that armpit if you'd like to, waking up that serratus anterior muscle. And then you can leave your hand there as well if that was helpful for you, or just let it come down. And again, bringing the shoulder blade down this time and tightening the muscles underneath the armpit, seeing how much sensation you can create here. And it might be quite different to the other side. So maybe it's easier for you to tighten these muscles on this side. Or maybe it's harder for you and you can't kind of feel those sensations. And again, it might just be a really small movement. Take that a couple more times. And then make this the last one and just hold here. Notice the tightening of those muscles under the armpit if you can, as much as possible. And then slow motion release, just let that go. And let's take the forward and back movement of the shoulder on this side. So bringing the shoulder blade forward, rocking that shoulder forward, tighten those pec muscles. You might even want to feel those pec muscles tightening. And then slow motion release back. And again, take that 3, 4 times. Shoulder coming forward, tightening the pec muscles. slow motion release back. And after you've taken that 3-4 times, hold here, feel the tightening of those pec muscles at the front of the body. And then from here, slow motion release, feeling those pec muscles, releasing, drawing the shoulder blade back to that neutral shape. And then let's take that the other way this time. So if you like, you can feel again that space between the shoulder blade and the spine. And we're going to hug that shoulder blade towards the spine, so that side sliding glide of the shoulder blade, drawing it backwards. So take that movement now, bring the shoulder back, shoulder blade gliding backwards. Noticing those back muscles tightening, and then slow motion release from here. And again, notice, are you bringing the shoulder up and then back? Seeing if you can create that smooth line with the shoulder. And if any of this is kind of confusing or hard, or you're feeling quite tired from this movement, again, that's absolutely normal with our somatic movement. It can really be quite overwhelming for the brain, especially if this is a completely new movement, something you haven't done before. Because we're just noticing those minute movements of the muscles, it can be quite a lot of information for the brain. So the last time you hold this back, just holding here, noticing those muscles tightening at the back of the body. And then slow motion release back. Cool. And let's take those circles again with the shoulder. So imagining you've got that pencil again on this side, and you're drawing little circles on the side of the room, so you can start in any direction you want. We're going to take both anyway, and just seeing how much of a circle you can create. And again, it might be a really small movement. So this is the kind of problem with sometimes people watching you do these movements, is that with somatic movement, it's about really how you're feeling and how the sensations are in your body. So the movement might look kind of bigger or smaller on me, but that doesn't matter. It's about how it feels for you. So letting the movement be as small or as big, just noticing, can you feel those muscles, top of the shoulder, back of the shoulder, underneath the armpit, pec muscles, front of the shoulder. And then let's reverse that, taking the rotational circles the other way. How much of a circle can you create? And how smooth can you make the movement with all these movements? You may have noticed little jittery parts, just smoothing out the movement as much as you can. Again, creating that motor sensory awareness in the body. Cool, and then make that the last round and just finish on that downward movement, and then come back to center. You can rest both arms down or on the legs, and just notice how you feel. And just notice if there's any change from before. Maybe there is a big change, maybe you can't feel much change at all. Take those arm circles as well. I'm not sure if we did that on this side, sorry if I forgot. Just notice how that kind of feels in the arm. Notice if there's more kind of space in the chest here as well. Maybe you feel more spacious. These movements can be really great for our hearts, because we've got all these blood vessels that come up from the heart and kind of come all the way up here and round and stream down the arms. So creating this space gives more space for the heart here and helps movement of the fluid, the blood in the body. Cool, let's just have a few moments just breathing here, resting, noticing, letting those movements go. And then when you're ready, we'll come down to our mat from wherever you are and come to have our knees, palms and knees on the earth. So just removing any props you might have with you and coming into that cat-cow shape. And as always in our cat-cow shape, having your sip of your drink or tea as well as you come down. Always with these movements, you can feel free to come down to the elbows or have elbows on a bolster or hands on a bolster. And as well, I always like to bring a blanket underneath the knees, because my knees are quite sensitive. So just taking any adjustments you need. And then as you arrive, let's take some of our kind of dancing bear movements. So just circling the body, taking some cat-cows, arching the back up, elongating the spine, moving into any areas of the body that you'd like to move into today. Moving with your breath in your own way. This organic movement, whatever feels satisfying for you. And maybe moving into familiar shapes. Maybe it's exploring some movement pathways or movements that are more unfamiliar for you. Maybe it is just taking those traditional cat-cows, or maybe it's circling the rib cage, bending at the elbows, bringing the weight towards the knees, towards the hand, one hand, the other hand, one knee, the other knee. And as you move here, notice the movement of the shoulder blades along the rib cage and the back of the body. Shoulders as they circle and make different movements as you move here. If you'd like, you can tuck those back toes and then just bring the weight kind of back into almost a half child's pose, and then bring it forward for your cow. Back through cat. And just feeling into the soles of the feet, releasing some of the fascia and the soles of the feet here. And are you still with your breath? Are you still with your breathing here? Making any rotational shapes, wagging your tail side to side, noticing how that moves, the spine, the head. Couple more breaths in these shapes. Let your movement be satisfying for you, not worrying about what anyone else might be doing back home, how you should be moving. There's no right or wrong or should, just how you want to move. Cool, and then you're ready, come back to just having palms and knees on the earth here. We're going to take some rotational movements for the body. So let's start with the right hand, but to be honest, you can kind of take this on any side you want to start. So bringing the right hand and rotating it up towards the sky, opening the heart, the ribs, the lungs up towards the sky. And let's take a couple movements here. So bringing the arm all the way down, bringing it between the lower arm and the leg, and then rotating it up towards the sky. And just take these a couple of times, allowing the ribs and the lungs to rotate with the arm and the hand here. You can bend the elbow that's on the earth as you come down. And then the next time you find your arm up, just hold the arm there, and then bringing the opposite leg out towards the back of the mat. Then you might find this helps kind of rotate more out to the side so that pelvis can rotate as well. Breathing the body up. And then from here, breathing the arm straight out in front of us. So coming more into that cat-cow shape with one leg extended. And then almost like imagining you've got some rope in front of you, you're pulling a pulley in front of you, drawing that arm down and coming into that almost that kind of half goddess arms movement, drawing the shoulder blade in and then extending the arm back out. And make this movement really slow and considered, noticing again those back muscles tightening as you draw the arm down to the side, and then releasing as you draw the arm back out. So it's not kind of this fast movement that we're not bringing awareness. It's a slow, considered movement, noticing those muscles tightening, and then releasing back. Let's take that one more time with that arm, maybe having a little hold as you bring that pulley in, and then releasing out. And then bringing that arm back up to the sky. And then from here, we'll sweep that arm all the way down. That knee can come back in. Let the arm come all the way down to the earth, through the other arm and the knee, and bringing the head down towards the earth here. And just resting maybe that cheek on the earth. If this isn't comfortable to be, you can bring a cushion or a blanket underneath the body as well. Or you can just stay more up if kind of this is a bit too far for you. And then this upper arm can come out in front if you want a little bit of a kind of stretch-like sensation on the side of the body, or it can also come round towards the back, even linking into that opposite thigh. And just resting here, taking a few moments, feeling into the earth, letting the body settle for a few breaths here. Oh, and then when you're ready, pushing into that arm that can be on the earth, pushing in, bringing the body back up, and just having a little shake out as you need, maybe coming down to the elbows, making a few circles, just rinsing out, letting go of any of that movement. Oh, and then let's take that on the other side, so bringing the palms back up to the earth. And then I'm going to take this on my left side this time, but it might be the other side for you, whatever side you didn't do last time. Bringing that arm up to the sky, heart opening out to the side of the room, and then breathing the arm down through that lower arm, that lower leg. And just take that a few times in your own time, letting those ribs, the lungs rotate with the movement. Can you even initiate the movement from that rotation of the lungs and the ribs? Let this be your last movement here. And then from here, bringing the opposite leg out to the arm. So for me, it's my right leg. And can you rotate slightly further, opening out to the side of the room? And then from here, bringing the arm down towards the front of the room. And then let's take those pulley movements with the arm on this side. So bringing the arm, drawing it back to the side of the body. And then slow motion, bringing it back. So like one of those kind of gym pulleys, I guess, bringing the arm down, hugging that shoulder blade into the spines, the back body, and then releasing. And just take that 3, 4, maybe 5 times. And then the last time, maybe having a little hold here. Noticing those back muscles, back of the shoulder blade. And then slow motion release, rotating back up towards the sky, holding here for a few breaths. And then slow motion, let that arm come all the way down between that lower arm and lower leg. The knee can step back in, and then bringing body all the way down to the floor. And you can rest the side of the head down on the floor. That top arm again can come out to the front, or maybe it rotates around the back of the body. Notice your breath here. And let your breath be calm, maybe extending the exhale slightly, if that's comfortable. Take 2 more breath cycles wherever you are, taking any adjustments that you need. Bringing the hand, that top arm back, pushing into the earth, bringing the body back up. And then again, let's just take some little wiggles, rotating, maybe coming down to the elbows, just rinsing out any holding in the body, just letting it go. And a little shake. Cool, and then from here, we're actually going to set ourselves up in a side lying shape. So just allow yourself to come down to the mat. And I recommend having a pillow or a cushion or something underneath the head. So I'm just going to bring a couple of folded blankets, but you might not all kind of have lots of blankets at home. So just bringing a support underneath the head here. And then the way we're going to set ourselves up is having the head down on that support. And then like you're sitting in a chair, so maybe how you started the class, in that chair shape, knees up in that right angle position. We want to make sure that we've got quite a neutral spine here. So just notice, so for me, you can kind of see maybe my shoulder is kind of stacked or coming forward. So you want the shoulders to be kind of stacked on top of each other, the spine to be long. And a little tip here, you can kind of push into that top hand, or you can start on either side as well, because I'm going to do both. You can push into that top hand and almost pull yourself towards your support and then rest down. It just creates a little bit more length in that spine. So just notice the shape you're in, and notice again if you're curling inwards, do you have a kind of flexion in the spine, or are you extended out? Just seeing how much of a neutral shape you can create. And then have a look at the horizon in front of you or wherever your eyes are setting. And are you looking straight out in front, or are you looking down or up? Just seeing if you can have the kind of spine aligned, the neck on top of the spine, looking towards that horizon. Cool, and then bringing the hands out in front when you've got that shape. Just making any little adjustments you need. So this is called the pectoral clock, one of my favorite movements. So it's really about the movement of the rib cage in line with the arm and moving kind of that rotational movement, that slide and glide of the ribs and the lungs. So having a think about that movement as we take it. So first movement here is this top arm. It's just going to glide over that bottom arm and just reach down towards the earth, rotating the body down and then breathing the body back up. Just take that a few times, sliding that hand over the bottom hand, extending it slightly, reaching towards the floor and then bringing it back up. Maybe take that 1 or 2 more times and just let the knees slide and glide here. We're not trying to stick the knees together. The pelvis can move. Cool. And then the next time you have that arm extended, so sliding the hand forward, you're going to open out like a clock, opening that hand up towards the sky and coming up and over. And just coming as far as your rib cage moves. So I get to about here. And then if I was to bring the hand down towards the earth, there'll be a disconnect between my shoulder and my rib cage. So I'm keeping that shoulder aligned with my ribs. And then breathing the arm back to meet the other arm. And take that a few times. So sliding the arm forward, bringing it all the way up and over, rotating, and make sure that you've got a little bit of pillow behind you as well, so you can rotate, keeping the eyes on that hand. And just coming to where the ribs, the lungs rotate to, and then coming all the way back. Opening the body, feeling that rotation, that movement of the rib cage in line with the arm. Bringing it back. And the knees can part slightly here, they can slide and glide. But again, the aim of this movement isn't to come into like that twist shape or get the arm down to the earth. It's about feeling that rotation, that movement of the ribs with the arm and the shoulder. Cool, make that your last one and then come back to that center shape. So now we're going to move the hands down towards the knees. So we're coming into a different kind of trajectory. And then as we move here, so we're going to do the same movement, but see if you can keep in line with this kind of movement. So we're actually going to come up around the back of the head. So bringing that hand over the bottom hand and then rotating that arm all the way up to the sky and then bringing it up almost to like the corner of your mat or the room. And again, just come to where the rib cage is rotating, and then once it stops moving, bring that arm all the way back. And take that a few times in this trajectory. And it might feel kind of weird in terms of where the arm is moving, just seeing if you can keep that kind of straight line from where the hand is on the floor to where the arm or the other hand comes to. Cool, make that your last one. And then as you arrive back, just settle back here for a few breaths. And then this time we're going to bring the hands all the way up to about in line with the head or in line with the face. And then we're going to take this way this time. So then this time the arm's going to come down more towards the pelvis or the kind of back, the lower back. So sliding that hand over, bringing them all the way back and over and rotating down, bringing that arm down towards the pelvis, towards the back body. And again, just letting the arm, the rotation stops when the rib cage stops moving. Breathing the hand back. And just take this in your own time, in your own breath. You don't have to follow me or follow my cues. You kind of probably know the movement now, so just moving in your own time. And just really start feeling into this rotation, this movement of the body. Slide and glide of the ribs, the rib cage, creating space, more awareness for the lungs to breathe. Or make that your last one, and when you come back to settle, just bring the arms down towards the chest and just take a few breaths here, just let everyone arrive. No need to rush. And then we'll just take a few circles of that top arm, so circling the arm up over the head and bringing it round. And this time, just seeing if you can keep the rest of the body still. So it's just the movement for the shoulders here. So instead of kind of opening out, just seeing if you can keep the body where it is and just let that movement come from the shoulder blade and the arm. And again, just cutting any corners you need. You don't have to take those full circles. Moving however the shoulder blade feels comfortable. We'll take that one more time and then come back to center. And we'll come to the other side now, but if you'd like to first, you can just roll over onto your back body. Maybe come off any kind of props underneath the head and just notice each side of the body. Notice the shoulder blade on that side. Is there any differences between each side of the body, how the shoulder feels, how the ribs feel? Just noticing, and maybe there's a big difference, maybe there's no difference, just letting it be as it is. Cool, and then let's set ourselves up on the other side. So I'm just going to come to the other side of the mat, so I'm facing the screen, but obviously, yeah, you can kind of set up on the other side. And then again, just making sure that when you do set yourselves up, you come into that neutral kind of spine shape. Knees up like you're sitting on a chair at that right angle. You can push that top arm into the mat, extending the spine towards your support there. Notice if the shoulders are kind of coming forward or back, seeing if you can stack one on top of the other. And then look out, are you looking at the horizon or are you looking down? Is the chin kind of nodding to the chest a little bit? Is the chin away from the chest? And create that kind of neutrality in the spine and the head. Cool, let's take the movements on this side this time. So this time, just again, sliding the arm over the bottom arm a couple of times. The arms in line with the chest for now. Letting the rib cage rotate down towards the earth, the knees Might slide over the bottom knee, head rolling down towards your support. And the movement be really easeful, really fluid. And then make this your last one. And as you come to this movement, breathing the arm up, rotating that arm all the way out to the back and just coming again to where that rib cage stops moving. And then breathing the arm back. So I've got a wall behind me, so just not following what I'm doing. So I have to bend at my elbow, but keeping your arms straight if you don't have that wall behind you. Leaning into that rotation, sliding glide of the rib cage. Maybe it feels a little different on the side. Just noticing that if it does. Or make that your last one and come back to rest, taking your time to get there or wait a few moments. And let's bring the hands down towards the knees. So again, this time we're going to bring the arm up kind of above the head. Just sliding that top arm over the bottom arm and then rotating the arm out, bringing it up above the head, stopping where the rib cage stops, and then breathing that hand down. And just take that in your own time, in your own way. And again, just like we're not trying to get the knees off the earth and get that shoulder down to the earth. Just stopping where that rib cage stops and not forcing the body to get anywhere. Oh, and then let that be your last one on this trajectory. Just have a rest down. And then sliding the arms up so they're almost in line with the head. And then let's take that final movement on this side. So breathing the hand over the bottom arm, over the bottom hand, and then opening out, that hand comes down towards the pelvis and that lower back. And then breathing it all the way back up to the top. Just stopping where that rib cage stops. Feeling that rotation, that opening of the body. And so again, this is a somatic movement in the style of Thomas Hanna, like the shoulder shrugs. And this movement, so with Thomas Hanna's movements, a lot of them are about how can we walk most effectively, most efficiently, most easily. And so we need this rotation of the ribs, this movement of the rib cage to walk easily. So this is one of those movements which help loosen and make the upper body easeful for walking. Because walking is our most fundamental kind of movement really in everyday life. And then just letting those hands come back, taking that final movement. And then when you've arrived, just removing any props from underneath the head. And if you'd like, just rolling over to our back, just landing where you land. It doesn't matter if you're kind of on your mat. And just notice again how each side of the body feels. And we're going to set up for our Shavasana, our final rest here. So just using any props you'd like, maybe having a little blanket underneath the head. You don't need kind of a lot of support underneath the head if you don't have it. And then using any cushions or pillows underneath the knees. And you can come to lying on your front body as well. And if you do have a bolster wherever you are, or maybe a kind of pillow, you can come and lie on the bolster or on the side body. This is one of my favorite kind of Shavasana shapes as well. So just taking any comfortable resting shape, which is best for you this morning. And taking your time to set yourself up here as well. So this is part of the practice, setting yourself up like you would a friend. How can you make yourself 10% more comfortable wherever you are? And that might involve bringing some more props or just making a little adjustment for the body. And as you arrive here, notice your breathing. Maybe those shapes that we just took have changed, how the lungs or the rib cage feels, maybe not. But just noticing that, notice your breath as you inhale, that expansion of the belly, the lungs, the ribs, and that condensing, that hugging inwards as you exhale. Feeling yourself settle here in your Shavasana shape. And as you took at the start of the class, we took that kind of check-in, that weather report of how we were feeling. Taking that report again, feeling into the physical body, the mental body, energetic body, emotional body. Just noticing, has anything changed? Maybe there's a big change, maybe tiny or not much at all. It's just letting that be, noticing, not trying to judge or consider it too much, but just let it be and wash over you. And these sensations, changes, feelings, thoughts that are occurring. And then coming back to your breath. Noticing if you're holding the belly at all, releasing any holding there. Maybe any tension in the jaw, maybe having a little movement of the lower jaw, releasing any tension. Notice if you're maybe clenching your hands or holding your hands, can you let the hands and the fingers be open and soft? And gifting yourself just the next few minutes before we go off into our days. Knowing this is a gift for you, giving yourself full permission to just be and rest here for the next few moments. From wherever you are, where you might have found yourself, you'd like to stay as you are, letting yourself stay for as long as you want. Beginning to bring awareness back into the body, noticing your shape, where the body meets the earth. Awareness back to the breath and how the breath is moving the body. Maybe noticing any sounds around you, reorientating yourself back into your space. And just taking any movements for the fingers, the toes, just beginning to gently reawaken. We're having a little stretch out, creating some bigger movements for the body. And then when you're ready, if you're lying on your back, rolling over to one side and just giving yourself a little hug on your side body. And maybe as you come to your side body, taking a few moments to set an intention for the rest of the day, maybe the rest of the week. Anything you'd like to take with you from the practice, maybe that sense of peacefulness, if that's how you're feeling, or whatever feelings that may have come up for you. Maybe there's just a energy or a feeling you want to bring out to the rest of the day. And then in the next couple of breath cycles coming up, and we'll meet in a comfortable seat to close together if you are wanting to close together. Otherwise, yeah, you can stay in that Shavasana as long as you want and just switch off the Zoom call. And as you arrive, if it's comfortable to do so, you can have the eyes closed or just having a soft gaze. Breathing the arms all the way up out to the side, over the body, reaching up to the sky, and then breathing the hands down towards center. Just letting the hands rest, maybe hands on heart and belly, or both on heart or down on your legs. And just sending yourself so much gratitude, love, appreciation for taking this time this morning for yourself, waking up maybe earlier than you're going to. Knowing that you, by taking this time for yourself, you're also not really serving yourself and giving yourself that sense of well-being and care and attention, but that kind of radiates out to everyone else in your life. Looking after yourself is looking after others. Arahamai, Arahatu, love and compassion received, love and compassion given. Thank you everyone for joining this morning. Hope you enjoyed, hope your shoulders and rib cage and breath feels great this morning. I'll hang around for a few